Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss probably the most important topics about Ukraine, regarding Ukraine and regarding the autumn military campaign. The situation on the ground we're going to discuss within the next video. You know that everything has changed and the conflict is going to be intensifying within the next months, even year. Everybody understands that special military operation or the war in Ukraine is not going to be finished this year. Probably we're going to see clashes and fightings the next year as well. And now we need to understand what should we expect the next period, the next phases of attack, offensive operation. Of course, for example, today the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation reported that during the previous night they managed to repel another Ukrainian attempt to attack the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. So basically, I understand that the next period of a special military operation, we are going to see more ships and more Navy drone attacks against the Russian ships. The Ukrainians will try to establish full 100% control over the Black Sea. You know that, for example, we can compare the situation with the Navy drones in Ukraine with the Iran drones in Russia. For example, during this special military operation, during a year, the Russians managed to increase the production of this type of drones. So the number of attacks from the Ukrainian side of Russian fleet in the Black Sea also tell us that the Ukrainians managed to establish a normal production of this type of weapon, and they will try to increase and to get more drones of this type, and we're going to see more attacks against the Russian fleets. And basically, the Ukrainians will try to establish a real 100% blockade of the Russian ports. So this is going to be the main characteristic feature of the autumn military campaign. Furthermore, the Russians reported that during the previous night they managed to repel another drone attack against the Russian buildings in Moscow. So this is going to be another main characteristic of the autumn military campaign. The Ukrainians will intensify the numbers of attacks against Moscow, against different type cities, trying to stress the population and civilians and trying to force the Russians to start striking and asking the authorities probably unpleasant questions. Of course, these are two important updates, but the most important update probably of the previous night is that the United States of America allowed Denmark and the Netherlands to start supporting and sending the Ukraine the F-16s. As you know, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, for example, Shoigu, reported that if the Western countries will start supporting Ukraine with F-16s, then the Russians will consider this as a nuclear threat, because F-16s are able to carry tactical nuclear weapon, and basically F-16s is not just the aircrafts that will attack the territory of Russian Federation or the territory that is under control of Russian Federation. Basically, this type of weapon that Ukrainians will get as close as possible to the combat line that can carry a nuclear weapon. Of course, we understand the risk, the Russians understand the risk, and furthermore, don't forget that this autumn the Abrams is going to appear on the territory of Ukraine as well. I don't think that the Ukrainians are going to start using Abrams right exactly at the same day when they appear on the territory of Ukraine, because if you remember, Challengers were sent to the Ukraine in the beginning of this year, but only 6 months later the Ukrainians started using them. I believe that Ukrainians will keep Challengers to wait F-16s, and they will start using them together. Furthermore, don't forget that this summer the United States of America allowed to send the Ukrainians the cluster rounds, but these cluster rounds are not those cluster rounds that can use HIMARS system. For example, more and more sources are saying that soon Ukrainians will get another type of missiles for HIMARS, and HIMARS will start attacking the territory of Russian Federation with the cluster rounds. I believe that these three types of weapon, like F-16s, Abrams, and cluster rounds for HIMARS, so the Ukrainians will start using in the beginning of the next year. Or in the end of this year. Why is that? For example, the Russian sources are saying about the beginning of preparation of Russian offensive operation, greatest Russian, not counter-offensive operation, but offensive operation, and probably we're talking about Sumy and Kharkiv area. Because, for example, the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, reported yesterday, giving an interview, that the Russians have accumulated. We know that according to information we have, the Russians have accumulated at least 100,000 soldiers in Kupiansk front line, where currently the Russians are trying to penetrate and to defeat the Ukrainians. There are a lot of forces in Zaporozhye, in Donetsk, so more than around 500,000 army is already on the territory of Ukraine. But the president of Belarus reported that the Russians have 250,000 soldiers in reserves. And this is the reserves that the Russians are going to start using in the beginning of October. According to the sources we have, somewhere in the beginning of October, the Russians will launch the preparation offensive operation. This is going to be a small attacks with the purpose to develop the bridgehead, and the main offensive operation the Russians are planning to start in the beginning of the spring of the next year, of 2024. So basically at the same time when the Western countries, United States of America, will start using F-16s, Abrams and cluster rounds for HIMARS missiles. So this is the situation, and this is exactly what is going to start happening the next year. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes to my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.